everyone, welcome back to the homestead. Hope you all are doing well today. I am feeling excited and encouraged today because I feel like I've been given some extra time to get out in the garden and really do some preparation for spring. Normally in December here in Missouri, it is not gardening weather. I'm definitely a fair weather gardener. I do not like to be out in the garden when it's super cold, but we've had temperatures up in the 70s for about 4 days last week. And just sunshine. It's been so beautiful. So I've been a little bit torn between what I normally enjoy doing in December, and that's sitting inside where it's warm and doing garden planning, and then just being able to actually get out and do some things in the garden. Well, this past week, I definitely decided to get out in the garden. I just couldn't pass up being outside on the beautiful days that we've been having. So I'm going to show you guys around the gardens a little bit today, kind of talk through some of the things that we've been doing, and I'm not sure exactly what project we're going to tackle today. We'll see if it rains or not. It is a little cloudy, but it is not very cold out, so if the weather stays nice, we're gonna hopefully head out to the gardens again today. With gardening, I've learned to take it slow and be okay with just small steps, because those small steps over time build up to huge steps, and that way no one gets burnt out or discouraged about gardening. Turkeys are having fun over there. Hey turkeys! They've gotten so big, and I think today these girls are gonna get a tom to join them. I've got friends that we're getting a tom turkey from. Is that exciting? I could probably work endlessly in the gardens if my physical body would let me. But the children, not so much. They just really need to have small projects that they can easily complete and then move on to other things. Esther Pie, she'd probably last the longest of all of them. The boys, it's not their favorite thing though. So I'll show you some of the small things that we've been tackling and then share a little bit of the bigger vision as well, things that we haven't gotten to yet, but y'all willing, they'll be coming in the future. I'm gonna go around here and stand up on the top of our root cellar because that gives kind of the best view of our kitchen garden. That'll give a little bit of a big picture perspective of this area. So this space has a lot of perennials. It also has an orchard area, so I've kind of over the years just divided it into sections. This first area here is where we've been putting in one little cobblestone path after another. And then the next section is actually going to have cobblestone pathways in between all of the annual grow beds. Beyond that is our little orchard area, and I'll show you what we've been working on out there. Then we have a section back in here. For now it is kind of a raised bed wood chip area. We'll see if it stays that way. It may just be temporarily that way. The newest area, it's still a work in progress because we have a construction going on over us to the left there. So it's still a work in progress. That's what I'm calling the circle garden area, and I still don't know what we're going to do for pathways or edging in that space, but it is a lot of perennial flowers and herbs and a few trees as well. So we're kind of on hold with the cobblestone pathways for now, because we're going to probably do a poured cement pathway along this whole stretch here, and then once that whole line's in, then we can start doing our little cobblestone pathways in between. Got all the covers off right now because it's been so warm out. Everything's just loving this warm weather. We may actually get some broccoli, guys. That's exciting. The cobblestone pathways do take a bit of time, so it's slow and it takes a while. It takes a lot of patience, but I'm just loving them and looking forward to not having to weed anymore in those pathways. So little by little, as the months and years go by, we're just working our way further out into the kitchen garden with cement and cobblestone pathways, at least up to the orchard area. I don't think we'll put cement through the orchard. I'll show you what we've been doing for pathways there. So we've got 4 apple trees, a couple peach trees, a couple pear trees, a cherry as well. This is what we started last spring, is bringing up flat rocks from our creek and then tucking in little bits of moss into the cracks to keep the weeds from coming up through the cracks in the rocks. Some of the moss didn't like the direct sun that it got in the summertime. It dried up actually beginning to green up and come back to life now that it's been cooler. So I'm gonna see if I can find a way to actually grow some things at the end of the grow beds here that are on the edge of the orchard that will grow tall, so that in the summertime this moss will be a little bit more protected, and then I think it's gonna do really well. Most of it's gonna be scattered throughout the trees here, so it'll have natural shade in the summertime because of the fullness of these apple trees. This has been going in about 10 stones at a time. The children go and gather the biggest rocks they can find from the creek. Esther loves to gather the moss. And actually Naomi really enjoys putting the moss in all the cracks as well. So it's turning out really beautiful. This path's going to continue all the way through the orchard. You can see we've still got a whole bunch of ugly cardboard and vinyl down from last year to help smother weeds. That's all going to go, and the rock pathway is going to continue all the way throughout all the trees back here. There will be a nice circle of perennials around each tree, and then the meandering pathway going through this whole area. There's a bit of an open space kind of in between our new peach tree and the pears back here, so I think it might be fun to do a little sitting area right here. That may be what we work on today, the children and I. If we can get to that, we'll see. So we go back around to the raised bed and wood chip area on the back side of it now. This is where we have our double arch trellis that we grow our purple pole beans on. Right now we've got some radishes in here. Last year we did this black fabric throughout this area, and it helped smother some of the weeds, but it wasn't foolproof. We ended up getting a huge load of wood chips for free because some tree working guys were going through the neighborhood, and Kip said, hey, you can dump at our place. So because we are out of the black fabric, and we didn't have enough even last year to cover all the pathways, I decided let's just use what we have. So we've been putting down feed bags from our chicken feed underneath the wood chips, and then we've been putting in a really nice thick layer of wood chips in the pathways. So hopefully we won't have to weed as much through this area next growing season. Most of these beds over here are strawberries. We've got an issue on the back here that needs to be dealt with. These big cants that we've been using as an edge for this back bed are falling apart. I'm still trying to decide about doing just a cement walkway along this whole edge to help hold in this grow bed, or take out the old wood, put in some new wood, and put wood chips. Probably for this year that's what we'll have to do, is use the wood, just do wood chips, and then maybe the following year we'll get around to cement. Cement work seems to take a lot of time, at least on our homestead. It takes a while to get forms up and get the gravel in that we need, and then actually get the cement truck in here, and it's a big job. It's partly why we've been doing the cobblestone pathways, because we can just do those little by little, and it doesn't require gravel or cement truck or anything like that. So some of you might wonder why we don't just do wood chips throughout the whole garden. We've done that in the past when we've had free wood chips delivered, and this year we've got the free wood chips again. So we're definitely utilizing them. But we found in the past that unless you put an incredibly thick layer on and then do that yearly, the weeds are still very challenging even with the wood chips. So that's why we've been trying to do a combination of different pathways. We'll probably always have some areas of the gardens that will have wood chips or sawdust, because we do use sawdust as well. But we honestly took a break from wood chips for a couple years because the last load that we got a couple years ago from the city was just littered with plastic and trash. I'm actually still finding bits of plastic and junk from that load of wood chips, so it kind of discouraged us from using wood chips for a while there. So yes, it does take a lot more time to haul up rocks and moss and put them in place, and then definitely takes a long time to do the cobblestone pathways. But more and more I'm seeing gardening as an investment that is going to take time, and that it's for the future as well as for the present, and want to just do things right and do things that are going to last, and overall make it so that gardening can be a pleasure and a joy and not a burden. So little by little we're putting systems in place that are going to make gardening in the future a whole lot more productive and enjoyable and efficient. A whole lot less time doing the tedious tasks of pulling weeds. And I know some people love pulling weeds, but the kind of weeds we get here in Missouri are not fun to pull. And so yeah, right early in the spring when they're small, they're fine, but they grow so quickly and then they become impossible to keep up with. So I'm gonna head out now to another area that we've been working on. It's our main crop area, and just behind that is a little swale that we put in a few years ago. And so we've been doing a little bit of work out there. Real quick on the way out there, this is our front garden. And all we've been doing in here so far is cleaning up. We still have got a little bit more to clean up in here. And then this garden space, I think for next year we're just going to be bringing in some new compost for the raised beds, and that might be it. It needs a lot of work. We still have a lot of permanent features to put in place in here to make it more efficient and easy to manage garden space. But for this next year, it's probably just going to be the landscape fabric again, which it works great the first year, but every year after the first year we found with the landscape fabric, it allows more and more weeds. Probably if we pulled it up for the winter time and then put it back down fresh, it would be a little better, but man, those weeds just find any tiny hole and they grow very, very tall through that teeny tiny hole. So here we have our kids play area. The white vinyl is down because our plan is to put pea gravel in this area, but we've got to put an edge on to keep the pea gravel in place. So a lot of work to do over there. But over here is the main crop area, and we've marked off the area. It's a 40-foot by 56-foot rectangle. So Kip and the children and I marked it off with the line the other day just to get a visual on what this area is going to look like. This is where we've been working the most back here though. So we put down fabric, two different kinds of fabric on this swale. One is 10-year, I believe, supposed to last. The other is biodegradable, and our dogs had fun running up and down this swale, tearing the whole thing up. So this whole swale was just covered with weeds. So we pulled out most of the weeds, and then we actually threw them in the back side of the swale here. So then we put the cardboard down and wood chips to help smother all the weeds and weed seed. Nadie came and weed-eated the back part of the swale here. So the landscape fabric did hold the weeds at bay for the first year. However, the second year, it did almost nothing. So going forward, I believe on this area, we're going to be putting a cement pathway between the main crop area and the swale to give us permanent access to the swale, to make it easier to maintain. And then the actual swale itself, where the trees and plants are, we may just do yearly weed smothering with bags and wood chips. Can't really think of anything else to do at this point. We've found that swales can actually be a bit of a maintenance nightmare. If we had small animals like sheep that we could put on the swales, that might work. That's actually our plan for our largest swale. It's going to take extensive fencing though. We're going to have to fence every single fruit tree so that the sheep can't eat the trees. But then they'll be able to maintain the rest of the swale for us. This is a smaller swale here. It's going to be connected with our duck pond, so ducks will be able to come in once in a while and help maintain it. But I think we're just going to have to use weed eaters and just do a yearly application of something to smother the weeds, like our feed bags, our cardboard, and wood chips. I couldn't even walk through here just a couple weeks ago. The weeds were literally 4 or 5 feet tall and just thick. You couldn't walk through here, so we had to just 1 foot at a time make our way down the whole swale, clearing it all out. The ideal way to put in a swale is that when it's initially dug, you heavily seed it with perennial plants that in the end smother out all the weeds that you don't want growing there. So that's what we did with our first swale, and Unfortunately, it did not work. So it is ideal, but it's not guaranteed that it's gonna work, depending on where you live and your situation. We live in an area that it's like a jungle. Yeah, it's quite jungly, quite thick, with all kinds of weeds and vines that you just can't even get through. And so on our first swell, those weeds and things quickly took over the seed that we had planted there, really choked out our fruit trees. If you're going to put in a swale in a place like Missouri, have a plan for using animals in some way, small animals. I don't think cows would work, but some kind of small animal, heavy fencing around your fruit trees to protect them while they're young at least. These guys have been so noisy. Hardly been able to get this video done because of them, and now they're quiet. Now you're quiet. The candy tuft thinks it's spring, guys. Look at this, it's starting to bloom already. It's a little confused. And of course, the spring bulbs are already starting to come up as well, all over the place. In the 8 years of gardening here, we've never had so much still alive in December. It's amazing. The garden still looks so full of life. But I have a feeling pretty soon here, it's going to be cold enough long enough that most of this is going to take a break for winter. Hey, who just arrived?
Hi.
You got a fella in here, huh?
Carrie, this is Tom. Tom, this is Carrie.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Hopefully that's a Tom.
Hopefully.
Uh-huh.
I guess time will tell, huh?
Yep.
Hey, fella. Come on out. Hi. Welcome to the homestead, Tom.
Ooh, he's pretty.
Yeah. Hi. Got a bunch of girls for you here. Hi. He's like, oh, I'll take some of that food.
Watch this one popping up.
Uh-huh.
They're both popping up.
So this dominant girl doesn't know she likes Mr. Tom yet. Kip's staying out here to keep an eye and make sure all goes well for this little fella. He's younger than ours, obviously. Come on, girls, be nice. Be nice. You like that turkey? Is it soft? So gentle, huh? I don't know if all turkeys are like this, so don't let your little ones do this next to any turkey. This is just a very docile turkey. And she loves it.
Yeah, turkey. Oh.
Her 4-year-old sister wanted to get her dressed today. That's why she's got 6-month-old clothes on. Are your clothes a little too small, Abby girl?
A Tito.
You don't care, huh? Alright guys, please excuse the generator noise in the background. Often on a sunny day we'll plug our freezer and any computers or anything like that into a generator. That way our system, our house system, can recharge. So now I'm excited to be out in the garden again. I think we're going to start working on a little sitting area. I've always dreamed of having just little places throughout the garden where people can sit down and just relax. Spend time alone with the father or together with somebody else. So we're going to build our first little space. So I just grabbed some of the old cardboard from last year's pathways and put it here. It's a little breezy, so we're gonna get that pea gravel on to hold that in place and move on to the next thing. Oh, and here the guys come now with the pea gravel. Good work, guys.
Thanks.
That feel good on your feet?
Yeah.
The pea gravel was a really good idea that Kip actually had, and that'll do two things. It'll help the wood that we're using for seating to not break down as fast, hopefully, and then it'll also give us a base to help level the rocks that we put down so that it's a little bit more level through that area. Heavy stuff, huh, Jay? Good job.
It feels so nice because I'm hot right now.
You're hot right now. How can you be hot? It's December and you have shorts and a t-shirt on. He's putting the pea gravel around his feet to cool off. Thanks, Nady.
Yep.
You can dump it right in the center, actually, I think. There you go. And we'll spread it from there out. Got a nice little level pad there to work on. Should we get a wheelbarrow? That thing is heavy. And that's the smaller one, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know how you pick that up all by yourself. You're strong. Cool. It's gonna make a nice little seat.
Yep.
How heavy would you say that is?
A lot.
A lot?
Many?
It's a big chunk of wood.
Over 100 pounds.
How is it, love?
Oh, it's just so nice. On the midget seats here in the garden.
He calls them midget seats. So we put one on either side here. That we need to leave a good pathway through this area, so we didn't want to block that off. And then we've also got paths coming in from all different directions, so it doesn't look quite symmetrical or anything, but I think it'll be nice.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, get to stare at the compost bins sitting here. This is beautiful.
You should sit here. It feels better.
You've got a better view?
Yeah.
Let's see what Nady's view is. Wheelbarrow presently, but into the apple trees. Nice. Alright, so here's Kip's view. Compost bins. Eventually it'll be a nice peach tree with lots of flowers around it.
That'll be nice.
It will be nice.
It really will.
Yep.
Yeah.
X marks the spot. Got a few X's on this one we're gonna have to get rid of. How'd it go, Nady?
Pretty good. Time for new sandpaper.
New sandpaper, yep. Not even finished yet, and look who's moved in. Our sweet little girls brought their blankets out and are making house in the new little sitting area. So cute, so sweet. Lunch break, just a quick pot of chili. What?
Alright, so we finished up lunch. Now we're grabbing some flat rocks for Mama down here at the creek.
Fiddle is working on transplanting some of our sweet violets over to one of our new fruit trees in the garden. She's doing a great job. Thank you, sweetheart. This is our new peach tree over here. So she's planted one sweet violet there, and then we're gonna just try and fill up this whole little area. So we'll have sweet violets like the apples over here as a ground cover. Is that fun? Do you like doing this garden work, Biddle? Alright, so the benches are all sanded. It looks like they're red oak because they kind of turned pink after being sanded. We got the first few rocks down. The children are collecting a few more at the creek. And Kip is able to help today, so it looks like we're going to get the last garden bed put in here. The children built all those last year for strawberries, and we have just one more space here to build a raised bed for strawberries. So that'd be awesome if we get that done. You looking at the turkeys?
Oh.
What you doing, sweetie? She's feeding the turkeys some creeping thyme. Do they like that?
Just like that.
They like that?
Yeah.
Fun. You got a rock? Y'all enjoying this sitting area already?
Yep.
It's pretty cozy, huh? So you guys got some more rocks for us to put down?
Yep. I think we'll already took liberty
Oh,
of placing them.
Biddle already put them in place. Close to in place. Cool, thanks guys.
Pretty much just like that.
Alright, so Kip got this bed all leveled, and we've got a lot more space for more soil in here, so probably that'll be a project for another day. We'll fill it up with soil after we take the strawberry plants out. And there's a little bit of garlic in here that we may have to transplant as well so it doesn't get buried. But then we'll have our whole row of strawberry beds finished. And I talked to Kip. I think for this year we're just going to leave these old cants in place. It's actually Joshua's favorite place to look for bugs. So we'll let him go another year and probably just fill in this walkway here with some wood chips for this year. Alright guys, covered up all the grow beds here because it's supposed to get down to below freezing tonight, even though today has been absolutely beautiful. I wanted to bring you out here real quick to show you how the seating area turned out. I couldn't be more pleased. So fun. Isn't that lovely? I am just so thankful for today. It was a really joyful day, getting to be in the garden so much, having this beautiful weather. I was able to do a little bit more shaping of paths back here in the orchard, just making circles basically around all the trees where we're planting the perennials, different flowers and things, and comfrey around each tree. And then eventually we'll probably continue the rock like here all the way through the pathways through this back orchard area. So tonight is actually the last night of Hanukkah. Kip's actually making dinner, so I'm gonna have some tea time with my girls, and we're just gonna enjoy the last night of Hanukkah together. So thanks for joining us again on the homestead and in the garden. We pray blessings over you and yours, and whatever you do, do it with your whole heart.